Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Coach Drink, the Missouri Tigers rolling on the recruiting trail Friday afternoon, landing another massive commitment in four-star wide receiver Donovan Olugbode coming from IMG Academy. And when you start talking about Donovan, you want to start with the physical freak show measurables that you're working with, right? He not only 6'1", 200 pounds, an ideal frame at that wide receiver position, 35-inch arms, 10.5-inch hands. And those measurables, those are bigger hands, longer arms than a lot of NFL tackles you see going to the NFL draft. I mean, these are some next level measurables. And I think what Coach Drink is looking at here saying, hey, give me the players that have all the upside in the world. We'll get him coached up and developed to be NFL caliber guys. And you look at a program like Missouri over the last couple of years, how many programs across the country are developing at the level that Missouri is? And so you put a guy like Donovan O into this Missouri program that's been maximizing players from the high school ranks. This is a wide receiver that has a ton of upside for this Missouri program. I think a second thing that I want to note before we get into the film on Donovan O is capitalizing on the momentum that you've had on the football field. And what's the best way for Missouri to kind of maintain their spot in the SEC, being a team that's going to win 10-plus games every single year? You got to start with the talent acquisition. We see so many programs have these flash seasons where they're able to have a lot of success but not be able to sustain that success because they can't get it done in terms of talent acquisition. You're seeing Coach Drink say, hey, we are showing high school recruits that we can not only develop NFL talent, which Missouri has done a phenomenal job of, but also win at the highest level in the SEC. I mean, you're checking a lot of boxes. Now, can you sell that to the recruits at the high school level? You're seeing Coach Drink do that. I think if you're a Missouri fan, if you can sustain this level of talent acquisition, this Missouri program in terms of where they are power ranked in the SEC, at least in my mind, they're not going anywhere. Massive commitment for the Missouri Tigers and fired up to get into the film. This is one of the more fun film studies that we'll see. Before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, to the Missouri fans. Many of you guys who've been rocking with the fellas the last couple of weeks and months know it's been a blast talking this program. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Donovan Olugbode. And again, I think it starts with the catch radius and the mitts that he has. And you kind of turn on the film, and we won't dive too much into the film because I want to have a lot of a conversation regarding what Missouri's building in the 2025 cycle. You dive into Donovan O and say, you see the catch radius, you see the hands on full display, right? I mean, this is one of the nastier catches that I've seen at the high school ranks. You see the long arms, you see the big hands, the ability to go up and make a play like that. That's kind of what excites me the most for Donovan O, is what he can do at the catch point. But then you see him do a lot of different things, like multiple different ways that Donovan can give this Missouri offense ways to attack opposing defenses. He's a guy that with the frame and the athleticism, he can work vertically down the field at a really high level. But I think my favorite rep that you see on Donovan's film, and these are kind of why I chose to show these particular plays, is, I mean, you see Donovan, one, just make some of those circus catches because he has the ability to do that. He has the ability to work vertically down the field, make defenses respect what he can do working vertically. He also has the ability, and I think probably the best asset he brings to Missouri, just being that kind of reliable boundary wide receiver. That's that big catch radius, that big target that can create separation, right? And this is kind of what you see, right? We're going to create some separation. We're going to be that bigger target that a quarterback can rely on to kind of move the chains. We're just going to create separation, be a big target. I mean, you see him kind of throttle down, be able to create that separation, and you're going to see that big catch radius, and then the physicality of what he can do after the catch. This is a guy that is 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds. I mean, he is a load for defensive backs to bring down. A lot of different ways that you can get Donovan O involved in this Missouri offense. And you kind of take a peek in what Missouri's building. This year, now 2 top 100 national prospects and Matt Zollers and Donovan O. I kind of want to scroll down to just some of the boxes that I see Missouri checking, right? Let's start with the quarterback spot. Matt Zollers, one of the best quarterbacks that we see in the 2025 cycle. When you have a quarterback like the caliber of Matt Zollers, you start to attract a lot of talent. And you see what Missouri's been able to do at the wide receiver position. Javon Boggs committing on July 4th yesterday. And Javon Boggs, his junior year, 93 catches for over 1,400 yards and 23 touchdowns. You talk about a wide receiver that is bringing a ton of production at the high school ranks to this Missouri pass catcher room. Now you pair him up with Donovan O, one of the better, at least in my mind, wide receiver duos that you see in the 2025 cycle. So you really got your passing attack kind of squared away. You got Jack Lange, one of the top offensive tackles in the 2025 cycle, probably protecting Matt Zollers' blindside for a couple of years. You got Henry Fenku, who, again, you beat out multiple Power 4 programs for that commitment. Potentially a guy like Lamont Rogers joining the fold, and then a guy like Dayton Hopkins, where you're just betting on some upside with the 6'6", 215-pound edge rusher. I look at Missouri and you start scrolling down and say, you kind of like what Missouri's doing in the 2025 cycle from a high school recruiting standpoint, and then you start coupling that with what Missouri does in the transfer portal every single year. I think Coach Drink has identified kind of the Missouri Tiger way in terms of building a roster that compete at the highest level of the SEC. And I think it's kind of a mixture. Like, hey, we're going to recruit the high school ranks effectively and hard, right? Because we're a developmental program. But we're also going to use the transfer portal to supplement what our roster has. And you kind of see these two funnels of talent acquisition being used properly the right way. And I don't think you can say that for many other programs across the country. You look at some programs just too heavy in the transfer portal, not enough at the high school ranks. And then you have programs like Clemson that do really well in the high school ranks, but don't use the transfer portal. I think Coach Drink has really found out the best way to balance how you're building a roster. That's what excites me the most. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later.